All right. Wanted to get you before it timed out. So, all right. So, chapter 14. When we finished 13, we saw that the two beasts had joined the dragon that we saw in chapter 12. Yeah, chapter 12 was the dragon, and then in chapter 13 was two beasts. Now, where did the beasts come from? Anybody remember? Where did they rise up from?
Out of the sea.
One came from the sea and
War among the nations.
one among the nations, yes. And we talked about how they represent, the first one, the one out of the sea, represented the Antichrist, and then the one that came out of the nations would be kind of like a spiritual leader for the nation, for the world, and these two would unite. Basically, the Antichrist would, and this guy would, this person, and the beasts represent people. They're the Antichrist, and then the spiritual leader. They're given power from Satan himself to perform and to do miraculous things, and so it's almost like they're indwelt by Satan. Doesn't specifically say that in the Bible, but it does say that they both have power from Satan to do that. And I don't believe Satan can indwell more than one at a time, more than one person at a time, if he's going to indwell anybody. So I don't know. But the one from the sea, the Antichrist, had a fatal wound in one of the heads of the beast, because the beast had 10 heads, which matched the dragon. But he still was living, and he recovered. And so basically, what will happen is that somebody will execute the Antichrist, and then Satan will give him power to rise back to life on the third day. So he's mimicking what Jesus has done and things like that. And so, and people, because of that, people will worship him and be, just totally enamored with him and stuff. And then these guys, they build a statue of the Antichrist, and the spiritual leader makes everybody worship it, and they bring it to life, and it talks, and it demands worship, and they also come out with the mark that you have to have in order to buy and sell. And this is all a glimpse of what's going to happen in the last half of the, or a lot of, more throughout the tribulation, but kind of more towards, the end and things like that or whatever. Before we get there. And then today we're going to see some more of that. And believers are warned to stay strong during that time, that there'll be a lot of persecution. In fact, it says right in the middle of chapter 13 that some people will be thrown in prison, some people will be killed for their faith. And so now we're gonna look at one more chapter before we get back to this. The last few chapters have been kind of like a interlude kind of thing for how.
Just for your information, there are two people in our family. One of us was ready in plenty of time, but the other was not. Not going to mention any names.
Okay. Well, is the other one feeling better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. So, okay. So anyway, so we see that. Okay. I don't know where I was now, so we're just gonna jump right into 14. So, but yeah, so we're gonna just jump right into 14 and start looking at that. Oh, right. People are gonna be thrown in prison and have faced judgment and possibly martyred. And we're warned in chapter 13, verses 9 through 10, that to stand strong during all that persecution, to stay faithful, and to not relent. And, it says this means that God's holy people must endure persecution patiently and remain faithful. So, we're told that it's going to get really bad for the Christians, because we saw in chapter 12 that the dragon, which is Satan, represents Satan, is going to declare war on the descendants of the people of Israel and of course the Gentile, any believers. So, okay. So we're going to move forward into chapter 14, start talking about this, and just this has been and I will explain a little bit more as we go along. Okay, but we're going to see the return of the 144,000. So verses 1 through 5. Then I saw the Lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him were 144,000 who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a sound from heaven like the roar of a mighty ocean waves or the rolling of loud thunder. It was like the sound of many harps playing together. The great choir sang a wonderful new song in front of the throne of God and before the 4 living beings and the 24 elders, that no one can learn this song except for the 144,000 who had been redeemed from the earth. They had kept themselves as pure as virgins, following the Lamb wherever he goes, and they had been purchased from among the people on the earth as a special offering to God and to the Lamb. They had told no lies, and they were without blame. All right, so remember chapter 7, we talked about the 144,000 people, 12,000 from each tribe of Israel, that was going to be sealed by God. And now we have 144,000 again. It is commonly accepted that these are the same 144,000. Talks about how they're sealed with the Father's name and the Lamb's name, which is Jesus, on their foreheads. So this is pretty much the 144,000 that they were promised that they would remain until the end, and so that they would be there. And most people take them as witnesses that they went out and about and were preaching the gospel. They were Jewish believers from those tribes, and that most people believe that they were witnesses on the earth at that time. I've read a couple of people that dispute that say that it doesn't specifically say that they were just believers, but whatever. They were there till the end. They're going to be there till the end, And so I can't imagine that they're not trying to help people find the Lord and the way. Okay, now, as with everything, especially in Revelation, there are issues. Yeah, I forgot to put the picture up. Right. Okay. We see a future. This is a future glimpse again. This is a glimpse of when Jesus will return. This is what it's going to look like when Jesus will return. So it's not actually happening yet, but this is John's getting a vision of it. So a vision within the vision kind of thing. And of course, right, 144,000 sealed, chapter 7. Okay, here's what I wanted to get to. And of course, with anything, there is different beliefs. Okay? In Hebrews chapter 12, there's mentioned a heavenly Mount Zion. Mount Zion in the heavenly city of Jerusalem up there. And so some people think that the Mount Zion it's being referenced here is the heavenly Mount Zion, and it's in heaven. And that John's seeing the Lamb with the 144,000 in heaven. Okay? Other people believe that it's the actual Mount Zion on the earth. Okay? And kind of some different takes on that is a lot of the people that believe that it's here on earth is because these people, these witnesses, or these 144,000 are promised to be here until the very end. And so how would they be in heaven worshiping with Jesus if they're still here on earth? Well, we know that anything's possible because John's body is here on earth, but his spirit is up in heaven during having his vision. So he was, at the very beginning of Revelation, in chapter 4 or whatever, he was told to come up there, and he's still there. He hasn't returned. He's been watching stuff on earth and watching stuff in heaven, and he's still in his vision. This is what the whole rest of the chapter or the book is the vision of John. And so, like I say, some people feel that it's the heavenly one. Some people feel that it's on earth. Okay, and I had a hard time with this one this week because I got distracted. Because I spent a lot of time trying to figure out which one was the more believable scenario. And I spent, of my time in study, I think I spent about 3 days of it, of my time that I study each day, trying to figure out if they were in heaven or on earth. And then I finally got to the point where I was kind of running short of time and starting to panic, and just like I couldn't get past this, and it just kind of was like, you're missing the point here. And so, we see the believers, or we see these 144,000 in heaven singing a new song, okay? They're sealed, they've been kept through to the very end. That's the point of this passage. It doesn't matter. The geography of where they are really doesn't matter for nothing, okay? The point is that these 144,000 were promised to be protected through the end if they remain faithful. And they have remained faithful. As it says, they haven't lied, it calls them virgins, but that doesn't mean that they're physical virgins. It could be that they haven't adulterated themselves by the worship of the statue and the beast and taken part in the world's economic and political systems and everything that Satan is in control of at this point in time. Okay? So, and the story of their faithfulness makes up the song that they're singing in heaven before the beasts and not the beasts, the 4 living beings and the throne of God. And so, and that's where a lot of people get the heavenly part of the heavenly location, because this song is being sung there. And again, like I said, I got as it can be so many times with some of this stuff, is that you get looking at it and you get trying to study and figure out which is which and and all this stuff, and it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter where they are, as far as, and so we just need to take from the point of it that God is faithful, and that if we are faithful and keep ourselves true, God will be with us till the end. And that's what we need to remember from this, is that God is with these 144,000 all the way, sees them all the way through the tribulation and everything. Okay, now, a lot of people, as we've seen in 13, we're going to see it again here in a minute, a lot of Christians are going to be killed during this time. They're going to be tortured, punished, imprisoned, and ultimately killed. And those that remain faithful God will see them through till the end. Even during that time, we're called to remain faithful. As Pastor Stewart preached on Stephen last week, being martyred. I think he's going to finish that up today. I don't know, but even during when Stephen was being martyred, he said, hold this against them not. Do not hold this against them, Lord, so for what they're doing to me. So he remained faithful even to the point of death. And that's how we're instructed to be as believers. That when we're persecuted for our faith, we're to remain faithful even through the point of death. And that God will see us through, because even if our physical body here is killed, we will be with him in heaven. And so our spiritual body at that point is not harmed in any way. Okay? Any questions or thoughts about that? Okay. All right. Verses 6 through 13. That's slow today. All right. Actually, that's still way off today. It's 2 hours behind now. Okay. Cool. All right.
For daylight saving time.
What's that?
It's waiting for daylight saving time.
Yeah. So, okay. 6 through 13. Then I saw another angel flying through the sky, carrying the eternal good news to proclaim to the people who belong to this world, to every nation, tribe, language, and people. Fear God, he shouted. Give glory to him, for the time has come when he will sit as judge. Worship him who made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and all the springs of water. Then another angel followed him through the sky, shouting, Babylon is fallen, Babylon is fallen, that great city is fallen, because she made all the nations of the world drink the wine of her passion and immorality. Then a third angel followed them, shouting, anyone who worships the beast and the statue, or who accepts his mark, and this is what we kind of touched on last week, or who accepts his mark on the forehead or on the hand, must drink the wine of God's anger that has been poured full into God's cup of wrath, and they will be tormented with fire and burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and the Lamb. The smoke of their torment will rise forever and ever, and they will have no relief day or night. For they have worshipped the beast and his statue and have accepted the mark of his name. This means that God's holy people must endure persecution patiently, obeying his commands and maintaining their faith in Jesus. As I heard a voice from heaven saying, write this down. Blessed are those who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, they are blessed indeed, for they will rest from their hard work, for their good deeds follow them. All right. Sounds like fun, doesn't it? Okay. So, 3 angels. So we got, come on. They proclaim the eternal good news. What's the eternal good news? It's not the salvation. It's not salvation. Angels do not preach salvation. So it's not what we would preach as eternal good news. It's not salvation. But the first angel is warning them to worship the Lord and honor the Lord. Okay? They're not preaching about Jesus saving them and all that. They're saying they're telling everybody that they need to start worshiping the Lord. Okay? And then they're told, time of judgment is near. Okay? Second angel tells them that Babylon is fallen. Anybody know what Babylon might be? Probably the world headquarters that the leaders operate their reign out of. Okay, it could be the actual Babylon. In John's day, Babylon, the Roman Empire was referred to as Babylon a lot, but it's going to be, it basically is a powerful city that Satan, the Antichrist, and the spiritual leader will rule from. The other idea with it is that it'll be, it could be the Earth system. Could be the city from the Antichrist leads from, but also the system of evil, and Babylon could represent the world system of evil that's out there. Okay, and that they have established and that they have set up, and that at the end of this battle that is going to be fallen as well. And so either way, the city where the wicked leaders of the world rule from, or the actual wicked world system itself will be overthrown, will be destroyed. And so they will, okay, so, all right, and then we got, third angel proclaims that the wrath is to come, that it's about to be unleashed, that God's cup of wrath is full, and it's about to be poured out on the earth. Done. Thank you. Okay, and again, here we see anybody who takes the mark of the world system is choosing the world system and worship of the world and the system and the leaders of the world over God. And so this is, we talk now that that in some ways, although it's not a wise idea because we don't know when our appointed time to die is, that some people can wait until what should be, till they're very old in age to accept Christ, and you know, they can, and that they'll still be, which is very true. They can do that. But if you die without Christ, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. And then we get to a point here in the tribulation that even if you're alive on the earth, if you follow the beast and the dragon and Satan and his rulers and accept the mark, and just to be able to buy and sell and to survive in the world system, then that will cost you your ticket, you know, your entrance to heaven. Okay, so you're choosing that over the world. Okay, and a blessing is given to those who stand strong. Right, the wrath will be eternal torment. It says the smoke will rise up to God. Okay, there is a blessing to those who refuse the mark, and those who stay faithful. And it says that a lot of people are going to be martyred, as we're seeing. Okay, be many tortured and killed, but they will receive rest. They will be with God once they're killed, and they will. So I have a question for you, and I'm hoping this is kind of get you guys talking a little bit. Would it be a smart thing to do for a believer to accept the mark of the world system in order to remain here longer to evangelize to the other people on the earth?
No.
No.
Because once you got the mark, God doesn't care anymore.
Right. If you willingly accept the mark. Okay? Now, if it's forced on you by the government, like if you were a believer, and I can totally envision this happening, if you were a believer and you were arrested for your faith and put in jail, and they torture you and beat you to the point that you pass out, they could very easily put the mark on you while you're passed out. And you wake up and you have the mark. But
I don't
if
think that would be held against us.
Right, exactly. If you did not willingly
Right.
choose to have it placed on you and to accept that mark willingly, then God, I do not believe, would. I'm extremely positive that he won't
You
do
can be
it.
conscious and they can give it to you. All they gotta do is tie you down in a chair, walk up.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so, like I say, it's a matter of the heart, and so in your choice. And so, as it always is with salvation, in your choice, it's our choice. That's why, you know, when people talk about, well, why does God send people to hell, and good people to hell and everything? Well, it's a matter of choice. He's not going to force somebody to go to a heaven and spend eternity with somebody that they have spent their lifetime denying existed.
God's not forcing them to go to hell. Their own self's doing it.
Right. It's their own choice.
That has
It's
nothing
choosing.
to do with it. It's
Exactly.
called free choice.
Exactly. So, and because God doesn't want a bunch of robots that just worship him just because he's kind of got that with a lot of the angels already. The angels worship. They got some free will too, obviously, because they chose to rebel. Some of them did. And so, you know, but yeah, so it's, you know, like I said, if it's, and like you mentioned last week, the Left Behind series addressed the fictionist series based on all this to help people understand it. They address that. They have a character in there that's a believer and everything, and his father wants him to get the mark and arranges to have him get the mark, and he doesn't want it, almost refuses it, but they hold him down and give him the mark and everything. And so, you know, and he was afraid he was going to be cast into hell because of it. But, you know, the other believers said that they saw the mark of God on him, and so that he was still good even though he had that mark and whatever. So, but it was not a willing decision. So it would not be a good thing for someone to stay here and evangelize. And the other point with that is that God can do a lot to reach a lot of people with the death of a person. And so that even in somebody dying, especially being martyred, God can reach a lot of people. Okay? And so, questions, thoughts, comments before we move on to the last section? Last 6 verses.
Will the mark be known, like people will know that's what it is? Not diving into conspiracies, but you know, like in the past people have said that's the mark.
Yeah.
I think vaccines was one of the things people claimed at one time. So will it be obviously known? So, like, say it is the mark, but you didn't know it was the mark, but your heart didn't mean for it to be that.
Right.
Can't. Does that make sense?
I would assume that it would be pretty well commonly known that they won't take something that already exists out there and say, okay, well, you got to have this now in order to be able to buy and sell. And that could happen, but I think in that case that, if you're deceived into it because you are a believer and you have no intentions of ever taking a mark, but they do that underhanded kind of whatever back into it. I don't know that it's going to happen that way. I think that these leaders are so arrogant and they're going to be so proud and of it and I honestly think that they're going to believe that nobody's going to reject it. Everybody's going to want it and nobody's going to reject it. And so, but if there are some, then we're just going to do this to, and this is a way of pledging allegiance to them and stuff like that. Because you're right, a lot of people did think that way. A lot of people thought when Social Security numbers came out, that was going to be, that was a mark.
I think it's gonna be a chip.
Well, yeah, probably so. And a lot of people during the Holocaust, when the Jews were, I'm sorry, not the Jews, the Nazis were putting numbers on the prisoners and the people and making people get numbers tattooed on them and stuff like that. A lot of people thought that was it, and some people feel the tattoos are mark of the beast and everything and stuff. And so, but I honestly think, it could be done that way. I don't think it's going to be that way. I think it's going to be a very proud, broad, we're proud of this. If you want to live with us and in our world, then you need to have this. And I think it's going to be that way. But if it does happen in a backwards sort of underhanded way, God would honor your heart and know that you're, where you're at and stuff. So, I had said last week when we started talking about this that if I woke up and had the mark on me, I'd probably try to cut my hand off. Just because, if it's on my forehead, that'll be a little tougher. So and that's the two, that's the two places that they plan on putting it. It's either on the forehead or the wrist, or your hand or whatever. So your right hand or your wrist and stuff. So, but I honestly think that it's going to be these world leaders are going to be so arrogant. He's going to declare himself God, and so I think he's just going to use that and run with it. So, okay. Any other thoughts and questions? All right. 14 through 20. Let's get through the last of the chapter here real quick. Then I saw a white cloud. And seating on the cloud was someone like the Son of Man. He had a gold crown on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. Then another angel came from the temple and shouted to the one sitting on the cloud, "Swing the sickle, for the time of harvest has come. The crop of the earth is ripe." So the one sitting on the cloud swung the sickle over the earth, and the whole earth was harvested. After that, another angel came from the temple in heaven, and he also had a sharp sickle. Then another angel, who had power to destroy with fire, came from the altar. He shouted to the angel with a sharp sickle, "Swing your sickle now to gather the clusters of grapes from the vines of the earth, for they are ripe for judgment." So the angel swung his sickle over the earth and loaded the grapes into the great winepress of God's wrath. The grapes were trampled in the winepress outside the city, and blood flowed from the winepress in a stream about 180 miles long and as high as a horse's bridle. That is a lot of blood, or a lot of wine, excuse me, but it'll be blood. All right? And I think I screwed this one up, but anyways. The Son of Man holding a sickle. Okay, this is going to be the judgment. This is going to be the right prior to, the very, very end here. Judgment time has come. Okay? God's wrath will be poured out. All right, he talks about the vines and the wine, the wine press and things like that. Okay? Believers are part of a heavenly vine with Jesus. And that's outlined in John 15 for us, where Jesus says, "I am the vine, you are the branches. Anybody that remains in me shall be with me. Okay? And he goes on with some other things in there too. So, okay? So if you want to look at John 15, see about where he talks about the vine and the branches. All right? That's the heavenly vine. Okay? This speaks of the earthly vine. The earthly vine will be cut from the earth. And that's what the sickle is going to do. And that's non-believers. It's anybody who doesn't believe. The sickle is going to swing, and those that are in the world system will be harvested and thrown into the winepress of God's wrath. Now, this is all figurative. Winepress, it's going to be, but it's basically they're going to experience God's wrath. He's using terms that people would understand in that generation, and we don't commonly see wine presses anymore. That much. I got Nicole's parents has a friend and her husband. She got remarried after her husband died, but they've been, since she retired here about 3 months ago, they've been touring every winery in the southeast that they can find. So every day they're posting pictures on Facebook of a new winery, and it's just like, wow. Okay, so so I'm sure they're seeing a lot of wine presses right now, but we don't commonly see them that much. Whereas back in the day, they would have known because they had a lot of wine because you couldn't drink water that much. So, okay. The sickle is going to go forward. The world system will be harvested and thrown into the winepress of the wrath of God. Okay. So the world system, all those that belong to the world system are going to have persecution and be judged. There'll be major bloodshed. This is basically the final battle, what some people call Armageddon. There'll be bloodshed. Bloodshed will be very significant. And there you go. Up to the horse's bridle. 180 miles long. The horse's bridle is like on his neck. So you know how tall a horse is. So for it to be 180 miles long, the river of it, and to be that deep, that's probably a good 4 or 5 feet deep. That's a lot of wine press or blood. Basically, it's all blood. And that'll be the people that have chosen the mark and have turned their back on God and deny God, and that will, these people will not repent, and they will have chosen this. They will have accepted the coming wrath of God in place of being with Him forever. And as we have talked about already here today, it is their choice. And even though some people might not feel like they're given that choice, we're given that choice every day because, God's creation speaks out to us that we should, know that there is God because of it and because of creation, and want to be with that God and not denying Him, not denying our relationship with Him. So, sounds like a lot of fun, huh? So, and like I said, this is getting, I'll be glad. I believe next week we're gonna start to get into the bowls of wrath, which I'm really kind of happy about because those are pretty cut and dry. This symbolic and this and that, this could mean this and this could mean that and whatever. It's really kind of bogged me down in a lot of ways because there are a lot of different beliefs on each thing, and and so many people are very passionate about it too. Yes.
Question.
Okay.
This part of the sickle, the man in the sickle and the sickle.
Yeah.
That is used in the Russian flag, but it was not used in the flag or anything symbolizing Russia when the Tsar. So after the Tsar family, is that their symbol for that they were non-believers and they would use that power to wipe out believers in Russia? Or USSR, or what you want to call it?
The Soviet Union? Possibly. I don't know. I hadn't studied in that area enough to be able to know that. But you're talking at the symbol of the Soviet Union with.
They took it from the Bible being, we're non-believers, man with the sickle,
right,
with the sickle and their flag.
That could very well be.
Guess what?
That could very well be because religion wasn't allowed under the the regime of the Soviets for the most part and stuff. And so, and everything was a one state religion. And again, a lot of people felt that that was the coming of communism and everything was and the rise of communism, and it was all one world, one everything. And a lot of people felt that that was kind of ushering us into this era. So yeah, it could very well be. I had never really thought about it that much, but I know it's shocking, but I can vision it in my head. So, you know, and the one to ask about that, and if you really want to get him going, go upstairs and ask my son. He is the flag expert of Lancaster County. I swear he is, okay? So that boy studies flags and loves flags, so he would be able to probably tell you that. Or you'll launch him off on an investigation, and he'll come back next week and tell you all about it. So
Yeah,
he will.
he knows a lot about a lot of things. I knew Thanksgiving last year, we sat with him and he had a very adult, well, he is an adult.
He is now, yeah. But several years ago,
He knows.
Miss Pat put for Veterans Day or Memorial Day or 4th of July or one of those, but she got a tablecloth that had a red, a white, and a blue stripe. No stars, but just a red and a white and a blue stripe on it. And she put it on the altar up there underneath the offering plates and whatever, just to celebrate Patriot and some flags of the United States up there with it or whatever. He walked in and looked at that and turned and looked at his mother and I and said, "Why is the flag of such and such here?" We're just like, what? You know, it was some obscure country somewhere over in Europe, and we're just like, why is that flag here? It's America's birthday or something. And we're just like, what are you talking about? No, it's red, white, and blue. And he's like, no. And so Nicole actually sat down in the pew and Googled it, and sure enough, the boy was right. The red, the white, and the blue stripe in that order was exactly the flag of that particular country. Then we were just like, okay, Robbie, it's supposed to be a America decoration. Don't get symbolism, exactly. So and he was just like, no, that's wrong. It's like, okay, so that's he's the one you want to, you know, and you know, if you don't ask him, I'll talk to him and I'll get him going on that. But feel free to ask him because you know he'll love it. You know, so yeah.
I forget what we were discussing, but I just wanted to sit there with my mouth open.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right, Kotarov. Any more comments and questions? But yeah, that's very possible that that's the kind of symbolism that they were trying to implant
because
through
you're talking about the harvest and everything.
Yeah.
And but going from the czar as a dictatorship to a communist country that you don't want anybody, you believe what I tell you and that's it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah.